The technology industry seems to have created the single greatest set of engines for curating and then fearing that your public self is not good enough. Like
Yeah.
curating a public self that is meant to make other people feel bad, that does not truly reflect you, and then you cannot live up to, or you can't live up to what you're seeing other people do. And like as an engine for making everybody feel constantly like shit, I can't imagine anything more deviously constructed, even if it was never constructed for that purpose. Like I don't think people quite realized it.
No.
I've always loved Instagram. I think it's like the happiest of the social networks, but I just took it off my phone because do I need to see everybody curating their lives on days when I'm feeling bad? Because like that's not an accurate reflection of their lives either.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, and I like what you said about whether or not they meant to, because I think that was one of the things that surprised me when I was doing my research, is that again it's that story, these evil, it's like big tobacco, big tech, and I know there is some truth in that they've designed these things to be as addictive as possible, but they're but it's we the people who've decided how we use these things. When Apple launched the front-facing camera, they called it in 2010, it was launched as something that you could FaceTime your nan with, but it was us that decided that we would turn it around and take pictures of ourselves. It was Twitter. When Twitter was launched, it was free SMS text messages. It was us that decided it was going to be this big platform for kind of tribal conflict, the one that it's become. And I think, yeah, it is, as you say, it's meticulously designed to make us unbelievably happy, partly because that's how we've decided to use it. And one of the reasons is I think this is one of the things that sort of really strikes me, is that second fundamental tribal drive is to get ahead of other people. Like everybody unconsciously is on this constant quest to get more and more kind of status. And the toxic thing about status is it's relative. Like you don't just get status and put it in your pocket and that's your status. Your sense of status, and studies have found that even the state of your physical health depends on your sense of your relative status. So it's an incredibly important kind of thing. Your status depends on the status of everyone else around you. So if their status goes up, even by standing still, yours has gone down. So we're on this constant treadmill. And we have these Stone Age Pleistocene brains, and we have evolved to play this kind of status game with 150 people, because that was the size of a human tribe. And now, because of social media, on Instagram especially, we're playing a status game with the whole fucking world. And it's not just the whole world, it's the best of the whole world. So, we're flicking through Instagram and there's Beyonce and there's Michael Jordan and there's me, and even though we know consciously that's Beyonce and that's Michael Jordan, that's my best friend at her absolute peak moments of fantasticness, unconsciously it doesn't matter, because one of the kind of fundamental ways the brain kind of measures how we're doing in our life is by comparing ourselves to the people around us. So when Oscar Wilde says, whenever one of my friends becomes successful, a little piece of me dies, and when Morrissey says we hate it when our friends become successful, they're exactly right. That's how human status works. So that's why Instagram, especially for that kind of status thing, is so damaging, because it puts us on this kind of competitive game with the best people, not only the best people in the whole world, but the specific people that we're interested in competing with, because they're the people we like, and they're the people that are kind of leaders of our cultural worlds and leaders of our, our political worlds. So that's really, really damaging. And then, of course, you've got Twitter, which is like a platform in which we compete for kind of that kind of the tribal status, not in a kind of presentational way, but in a visually presentational way, but in a kind of morally presentational way. That's how that manifests on Twitter. And it's exactly the same thing. And Twitter's even worse, I think, because the opposite of status is humiliation. So one of the psychological descriptions of humiliation is it's the removal of kind of all of your status at once. So it's incredibly painful to people, because that's one of the things we crave. And Twitter is designed for that. So when we kind of signal when we do our gang sign on Twitter saying, I think Trump's an idiot because X, Y, and Z, and then somebody else comes along and says, well, you're wrong because of A, B, and C, that is a humiliation. That's a tribal attack. And it's humiliating because it's in front of everyone that's following us. So we cannot help but then argue back. So it's just designed, we say it's designed perfectly to trigger us kind of maximally in terms of our evolved tribal cognition. I mean, but we've horribly kind of helped Twitter make it that way by using it in that way.